Hi, I'm Woody LaBounty from San Francisco Heritage. You may have heard about a mural cycle at the University of California, San Francisco that is endangered. Heritage is aware of this. We've been trying to work with UCSF and all parties, lots of interested parties actually, to figure out a way to preserve the rare mural cycle, the history of medicine in California. But first, as we continue to work on this, I thought I'd tell you a little bit about the history of the mural cycle and why it's important. The history of medicine in California was created by artist Bernard Zakheim and his assistant Phyllis Wrightson on site at the University of California, San Francisco's Parnassus campus from 1936 to 1938. The series is composed of 10 pictorial panels and 2 descriptive panels on the walls of Tolan Hall, a large lecture room within UC Hall, currently proposed to be demolished for a new research and academic building. It's this project that has UCSF proposing to create a digital version of these murals, proposing having the murals removed, stored off-site. They don't seem to be proposing any idea of bringing them back to the new building. Heritage supports these murals staying on the UCSF campus and being preserved for public viewing. Bernard Zakheim was one of the leading artists in this area who created major public art under the auspices of the 1930s New Deal arts programs. A Polish Jew, he was born in Warsaw in 1898. His family prepared him for the synagogue to be a rabbi, and he was sent to a seminary as a young man. Against the wishes of his family, he instead became politically active and began studying art. Imprisoned in a concentration camp during World War I, he came to the United States when the war ended. He found work in and then opened his own custom furniture shop in San Francisco in the 1920s, before being invited by the great artist Diego Rivera to study fresco painting with him in Mexico City. In San Francisco in the early 1930s, Zakheim organized exhibitions by Jewish artists and was recognized for his watercolor work. He won an open competition to create his first major fresco, entitled Jewish Festival, seen here on the left, for the Jewish Community Center on California Street and Presidio Avenue. This piece, by the way, was successfully removed and reinstalled in a new JCC building in 2004. Zakheim was one of 26 artists selected to create the murals within Coit Tower, which represented the first New Deal era art project. Zakheim has been credited with developing the overall concept of the artwork within Coit Tower, and his own piece, completed in 1934 and seen here on the right, is entitled Library. Library controversially contained leftist references, including a copy of Das Kapital and the regional communist newspaper Western Worker. Also in 1934, Zakheim created 2 frescoes for the Alemany Emergency Hospital and Health Center, today San Francisco City Landmark number 272. The work that he put in there, entitled Community Spirit, and another one called Growth, depicted scenes of neighborhood life and maternal care with birthing imagery. This project attracted the attention of Dr. Isabella Perry and Dr. Chauncey Leake, Dean of Pharmacology at the University of California, San Francisco. The Works Progress Administration, through the Federal Art Project, commissioned Zakheim to brighten and enliven what Leake described as a, quote, dark, ugly cave, end quote, with artwork to educate medical students on the history of their field. The history of medicine in California was the result. The murals were created in buon fresco style, a method reaching back as far as the Italian Renaissance, in which the painting is done on fresh plaster and makes the work an integral part of the plaster wall. UCSF faculty and librarians assisted and helped guide Zakheim and Wrightson's research and choice of subject matter for the frescoes. History of medicine in California depicts founders, scientists, and educators, pivotal and important to revolutionary breakthroughs in medicine. It also respectfully includes practices and knowledge of Native peoples and acknowledges the skill and recognized medical expertise of African-American midwife Biddy Mason, shown here attending to a malaria patient with Dr. John Griffin. Zakheim wrote, "I did not only pick the beautiful or heroic parts of history, and the murals include scenes of murder, amputations, and autopsies." Noted fresco artist Ray Boynton said that Zakheim's work, quote, "has always been concerned with human values and human drama, and his point of view has always been sympathetic to human struggle and effort." His assistant Phyllis Wrightson pointed out how Spanish soldiers span panels of native peoples intentionally. It's a composition, quote, "symbolic of the invasion of California," end quote. Author Anthony W. Lee wrote, quote, "the murals fit into an explicitly programmatic argument about class conflict and the super-exploited races and peoples." Fellow frescoist Ray Boynton's assessment of Zakheim's art feels particularly resonant to our present moment. Quote, "his work has a real social value in that it is charged with positive qualities of belief and protest, rather than negative qualities of indifference." The mural's supposed subversive nature has been cited as a reason for their concealment during the Cold War. This is a 1953 lecture from the UCSF Archives. A lot of these older photos are from the UCSF Archives. In 1948, the college covered the mural cycle with wallpaper. They were uncovered in the 1960s and underwent conservation treatment by the artist's son, Nathan B. Zakheim, here on the right, and Jennifer Wachter in the 1970s with funding from UCSF's Alumni Faculty Association. Bernard Zakheim, here on the left actually, Nathan Zakheim on the right, died in 1985. Beyond its high artistic values, the history of medicine in California is exceptionally rare, one of only a few frescoes extant in the San Francisco Bay Area. The history of medicine in California is associated with events that have made a significant contribution to the broad patterns of our history, namely the WPA New Deal arts programs. The series is also associated with the lives of persons significant to our past, such as Bernard Zakheim, UCSF's Dr. Chauncey Leake, not to mention the historical figures that are depicted in the murals, who are very important. The frescoes are the work of a master and represent his largest and perhaps most significant work. They should be preserved, and Heritage is doing all it can to keep them for future generations to enjoy and be educated by. We want broader public access, of course, and we'd love to have them in the place they were painted, the context in which they were created. So follow sfheritage.org to learn more as we continue on this journey to try to save the Zakheim murals, and contact us if you think you know a way you could possibly help. Thanks again.